Welcome back to Brain Boogerz, where we talk mental health, personal growth, and the paths less traveled. I'm MJ, and today we're talking about Imbolc, that in-between season where winter is still very much winter, but something in the air starts whispering, we're not staying here forever. And I want to start with a little connector from my Pentecostal upbringing because if you know, you know. Growing up, there were certain things you didn't just avoid, you avoided them with your whole spirit. Like, you weren't just told, that's not our tradition. You were told, we're set apart, we are not of this world. Or you'd hear the term sanctified, which means set apart for something sacred or inviolable, and really push that our ways are not their ways. Or keep your eyes on the cross, and don't attempt to stray from what we're taught, or you'll be the subject of that week's Bible study or Sunday sermon. Cue the ostracizing. So you learn to keep sweet and survive by not asking questions, lest you be met with coercive control buttressed by groupthink. And I'm not saying everybody meant harm. A lot of people were doing the best they could with what they were taught. But I am saying this. Fear is a very effective management tool, because when you're afraid, you don't explore. When you're afraid, you don't learn. When you're afraid, you don't heal. You just comply. And Imbolc is basically the opposite of that. Imbolc is the season that says, ask, notice, listen, start small. Not be perfect. Not be instantly transformed by the renewing of your mind. Not come back when you're fully healed and fully holy and fully unbothered. Imbolc is gentle. It's the first little spark. It's the first honest breath after a hard season. It's the moment you realize, I still have life in me. And if you're listening right now and you're in a winter season, emotionally, financially, spiritually, or physically, Imbolc is for you. Because it doesn't demand a miracle. It asks for a match. Before we dig in, subscribe, tap the notification bell, and share this with somebody who needs a little hope that doesn't require them to fake being okay. And a quick reminder, this isn't medical advice. If you need mental health support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional. Imbolc is one of the 8 Sabbats on the Wheel of the Year, seasonal markers that track the sun, the land, and let's be honest, the human nervous system. Because yes, your body has seasons too. Imbolc sits between Yule, or deep winter, and Ostara, or the spring equinox. It's the bridge. If Yule was the turning point, the light returns, Imbolc is the first evidence that the turning point wasn't just a cute idea. It's the beginning of the beginning. This is one of my favorite ways to understand the Wheel of the Year. Think of it like a growth cycle, or a creative cycle, or honestly, a training cycle. If you want a simple arc, try this. Yule is expectation. The promise returns. Choose what you're hoping for. Imbolc is preparation. You clear space, you gather tools, and you start small. Ostara is the deliverance and birthing. This is the first visible results, something breaking the surface. Beltan is about activation and commitment. This is when you say yes and you see growth accelerate. Letha is the expansion or peak output. This is full power, sustain and manage energy. This is around the summer. You have Lamas, which is the first harvest. So this is the first yield, you adjust the method. Then you have Mabon. This is about integration, the second harvest. This is where you gather, preserve, refine, and rebalance. And then you end it with Samhain. This is where you release and you find closure. This is about endings and in some ways composting. And I like this framing because it's honest. You don't go from idea to harvest overnight. There's a whole rhythm to becoming. Imbolc is traditionally celebrated around February 1st or 2nd. In North America, it's Groundhog Day. For some Christians, it's called Candlemas. No matter how this pre-Christian Irish Scottish observance is celebrated, it all points to preparation for the thaw. And depending on where you live, February can still be rude. Like, February will humble you. So Imbolc isn't pretending winter is over. Imbolc is acknowledging winter and still choosing hope. The meaning of Imbolc as in the womb speaks to an expectation that a delivery or breakthrough is on the horizon. Some common Imbolc themes are the returning light, purification and cleansing, new beginnings, home care, and hope through small action. If Yule is expectation that the light returns, Imbolc is saying, okay, now what do we do with that? Imbolc is where you stop romanticizing change and start practicing it, not in a dramatic way, in a wash the dishes, drink the water, take the walk, send the email, schedule the appointment kind of way. Imbolc has strong roots in Celtic traditions, and it's often associated with Brigid, who, depending on the tradition, is honored as a goddess, a saint, or both. For example, in Haiti, Maman Brigid is a loa, or spirit, known for love, as a warrior, deliverer, and healer. And I love that, because it shows how messy and human history is. People don't just wake up and erase their old beliefs overnight. They blend, they adapt, they carry what still feels true. Historically, this time of the year was connected to the hearth, for home, warmth, and survival, craft for making and repairing, poetry and inspiration for that spark, and preparing the land because spring doesn't prep itself. And across cultures, you'll see similar late winter, early spring patterns, candle traditions, cleansing rituals, early spring cleaning, festivals that honor light, home, and renewal. Because humans everywhere noticed the same thing. When the world starts shifting, you either prepare or you get caught off guard. Imbolc is preparation with tenderness. So quick level set so we don't accidentally turn this into Ireland, the only place with seasons. The Wheel of the Year, or the 8 Sabbats as a neat calendar, is a modern system that pulls together multiple European seasonal traditions. Some of the festival names people recognize most, like Imbolc, Beltane, Lunasa, and Samhain, are Gaelic names, so the whole thing can sound mostly Irish. But the bigger truth is, humans everywhere track seasonal change. The labels just come from whoever's story got written down, translated, and spread. In Peru, it falls within the celebration of Virgen de Candelaria. In Puerto Rico, as the Nuestra Señora de Candelaria, celebrated with fireworks, bonfires, feasts, dancing, and singing. Here's a quick disclaimer. I'm not giving medical advice here, this is just general human body and winter stuff. In late January and early February, a lot of us feel off. Not because we're broken, but because our bodies are responding to the environment. Less light can mess with your circadian rhythm, so your sleep timing gets weird and your mornings feel heavier. Darkness cues melatonin, and in winter, it can feel like the sleep signal hangs around longer. Mood and motivation can dip because we're getting fewer of the inputs that support dopamine and serotonin, light, movement, novelty, and social time. In places like Chicago, vitamin D tends to run lower in winter because the sun's angle is low. And cold and staying inside can push your nervous system into conserve energy mode. More cravings, more hibernation brain, more leave me alone. So how does Imbolc help? Imbolc gives you a timed reset that matches the biology. It's not asking you to feel like it's spring. It's asking you to notice the trend changing. The light is returning. even if the temperature is still disrespectful. And if you're a fitness person, think of it like this. Imbolc is the warm-up block after a long cold cut. You're not maxing out today. You're getting blood flow back. You're proving to your nervous system, we're safe, we're moving, we're coming online again. So here's some practical Imbolc support that can be simple. Get a little morning light if you can. Add warmth and movement, such as a walk, a little mobility, and a gentle lift. And do one small flame action, such as light a candle, drink a hot tea, tidy one corner, or text one friend. Because the goal isn't a glow up, the goal is momentum, one small flame at a time. Now, let's talk symbols, and I'm going to keep this grounded. Symbols are basically the brain's shortcut to meaning. They help your nervous system understand what your mouth can't always explain. For example, candles and flame. Imbolc is candle energy. Not big bonfire, dramatic transformation, burn it all down. More like one candle in a dark kitchen. One small light that says, I'm still here. If you've been depressed, burned out, grieving, or just tired, this symbol hits. Because it's not asking you to become the sun, it's asking you to hold a flame. Now, bringing it back to Imbolc and Brigid, an Irish goddess connected to fire, healing, poetry, and smithing. That's creativity, recovery, and transformation. The kind of heat that doesn't just warm you up, it changes you. And one of the most recognizable Imbolc symbols is Brigid's cross. If you've never seen one, picture a small woven symbol made from straw. A square center with 4 arms that spiral out like a little pinwheel or sunwheel. It's a well-known piece of Irish folk tradition, strongly associated with Imbolc. People often describe it as having older roots that blended into later era household practice. The safest way to say it is, it's an Irish seasonal home blessing tradition with deeper history. What it symbolizes is protection of the home, especially thresholds, doors, windows, and the places life comes in. Blessing for the year with health, safety, and enoughness. The returning sun or turning season. It visually reads like a solar symbol. And renewal, often made fresh each year. And honestly, I love it because it's not complicated. It's a small, handmade reminder that you can build safety and hope with your own 2 hands. Some of us don't need a new life. Some of us need a repaired one. There's water and cleansing. Imbolc is a cleansing season. And I don't mean cleanse like a diet culture punishment. I mean cleanse like wash what's heavy, clear what's cluttered, rinse off what isn't yours. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is to take a shower and change your sheets. There's seeds. Seeds are potential, not results, not proof, not a harvest, just the decision to start. And I love that Imbolc honors seeds because it gives you permission to be in the not yet stage. Let's try some colors, scents, and foods. This is the part where people get excited because you can make this season feel real without spending money. For colors, common Imbolc colors are white for a reset, purification, clarity, pale yellow for the returning sun, a soft green for new growth, as well as reds and oranges for that pop of color and brightness. If you want to keep it simple, white candles and a little green plant equal done. On scents, scent is nervous system regulation. Scent is memory. Scent is mood. Some Imbolc friendly scents are rosemary for clarity, lavender for calm, citrus and lemon for that fresh start, and even clean linen with some soap vibes. Yes, that counts. Here are some practical ways that you can use scents for Imbolc. Be it a candle, a simmer pot, making tea, using essential oils, or literally cleaning your kitchen and letting the fresh smell be the ritual. Now, what about those foods? Imbolc food is nourish and stabilize. Think milk or dairy or alternatives, oats, bread, soups and stews, and honey. This is not the season for restriction. This is the season for warmth. If your budget is tight, a bowl of oatmeal and a candle moment still counts. And a side note, your body responds to your surroundings. So if you find your appetite has increased during the cold season, it's because you're experiencing your winter body. You still need to manage what you consume and maintain activity. But in this season, your body is asking for more calories to keep you warm, alert, and alive in the cold. You'll experience the summer body drive as the weather warms, not just because others are out, but because your body is responding to the returning light, extended day, and increased temperature. You yo-yo throughout the year in response to your environment. So while some may be running to the gym for their New Year, New Me resolutions and waiting to be one of the statistics of individuals who fall off big plans due to overexcitement, unrealistic expectations, misinformation, and failing to listen to their body, try to avoid those pitfalls. Take your time, do your research, take care of your body, and set both short and long-term goals. And like you consume your food, approach each goal one bite with thorough mastication at a time. Try some recipes including the flavors and elements of the season and Sabbath, like rosemary potato rolls and lemon almond cake, both filling and delightful to the senses. Now, how do you celebrate Imbolc, be it in the city, through nature, by yourself, or in a group? Imbolc is about change, seasonal change. And while it's distinct in the subtropical regions, it happens everywhere, even in tropical equatorial regions. Here's the sciencey part, but I promise it's not a pop quiz. Seasonal change is basically about light, and light changes in a few ways. With day length, it's how long the sun stays up. With the sun angle, it's how direct the sunlight is, and where the planet's heat bullseye sits over the year. That change affects mood and energy, but globally, not everybody experiences seasons as winter, spring, summer, and fall. In a lot of places, it's the wet season and dry season, and those cycles still connect to solar energy, wind patterns, and how heat moves through the atmosphere and oceans. So when we say midwinter, it can mean different things depending on where you live. The solstice happens everywhere, but the weather doesn't always feel dramatic. One example I love for perspective: a Dogon ceremony in Mali called Goru, connected to the winter solstice, and a plentiful harvest offerings to Amma, the creator, and the ancestors. So even when the climate story isn't snow and darkness, people still mark turning points: harvest, community, ancestry, and renewal. And if you're in Chicago, you already know the emotional portrayal of this part. The solstice happens, the days start getting longer, and then it gets colder. That's seasonal lag. The earth and water and concrete hold cold, and they release it slowly. So even though the light is technically returning, we're still losing more heat than we're gaining for a while. And weather patterns can bring the coldest air later in January and February. So, you get this weird truth. The light is coming back, but the cold hasn't gotten the memo yet. And honestly, that's why Imbolc makes sense. It's not spring is here, it's the direction changed. It's permission to start tending a small flame even while winter is still being loud. And that's the vibe I want to hold for Imbolc. Not everyone should celebrate the same way, but humans everywhere notice the turning. Then we build meaning around it. You don't have to do this perfectly. Imbolc is a vibe you can practice. So for example, City Imbolc is actually elite because it's built for small rituals. Try clean one small area, one drawer counts. Light a candle while you do it, Open a window for 60 seconds, even if it's cold, just a quick air reset, and write a next right step list. 3 items max. Imbolc is not asking for a 47-step morning routine. It's asking for one small act of care. If you have access to nature, take a walk and look for signs of life. Buds, birds, little shifts. Stand still for 1 minute and listen. If you want to plant seeds, try fast-growing seeds like winter variety spinach, lettuce, sunflowers, basil, and cilantro, as well as some slow-growing seeds like cactus, coneflowers, and sage. And if you want to do a gratitude offering, keep it ethical. Spoken gratitude, a little water poured into the earth, or picking up trash as an offering, honestly, powerful. Now, what if you want to do Imbolc by yourself? Well, here's a simple 10 or 15 minute solo ritual. 1. Turn off bright overhead lights. 2. Light 1 candle. 3. Put one hand on your chest or belly and take 5 slow breaths. 4. Write the sentence at the top of a page. I am ready to begin again by. 5. Finish it with one small action you can do in the next 7 days. 6. Then write, what am I cleansing? What am I protecting? And what am I nurturing? 7. Read your answers out loud. And 8. Close with, small steps still count. Here's an optional body-based add-on. Stretch for 60 seconds. Drink a full glass of water, or take a hot shower like you're rinsing off the season. Now, for celebrating Imbolc as a group, you can try tea, candles, and everyone shares one thing they're releasing and one thing they're beginning. Then possibly do a reset swap, where each person picks one tiny habit to try for a week. Keep it simple, keep it sincere. Imbolc is the season for micro commitments. And if you've ever been in a healing journey, you already know. Big promises are easy. Tiny consistency is the hard part. Imbolc teaches you can start without being ready. You can cleanse without punishing yourself, and you can hope without denying reality. If you're coming out of a hard season, your nervous system doesn't need pressure, it needs safety. It needs repetition. It needs small wins. So, ask yourself, what part of me is thawing? What needs cleansing, be it habits, relationships, or even self-talk? What is the smallest step that proves I'm still in motion? Where am I demanding perfection when I actually need gentleness? And here's a practical one. What is one thing I can do daily for 7 days that would make my life 5% easier? Not 50%, 5. Because 5% done repeatedly becomes a new baseline. Imbolc isn't about becoming a new person overnight. It's about lighting a candle and telling the truth. I'm still here. Imbolc is that moment where we set intentions toward new opportunities, banishment, attraction, release, cleansing, healing, rejuvenation, motivation, fertility, fortune, abundance, and focus. And if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. You don't need a dramatic rebirth. You need a small, steady return. If this episode helped you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs a gentle restart. Next up in the Sabbath series, Ostara, the spring equinox, talking about balance and the kind of growth that doesn't require you to abandon yourself. Until next time, keep growing, keep reflecting, and remember, Every season has something to teach us. Join me next time where we'll pick and dig in on Brain Boogerz.